Hello, this video is on section 7.1, which is titled Zero and Negative Exponents. We're starting into the brunt of the AG2 material. No more review, so this should be new material for most of you. And the learning target for the first one is to simplify expressions involving zero and negative exponents. Very, very simple stuff. It's going to be a really short video, so let's go ahead and get started. One thing that you will notice about solving for an exponents and solving for whether it's a negative or a zero is that there's a pattern if you have numbers of the same base between the exponents. So if we start at 2 to the 4th power, that is the same thing as 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, or 2 times itself 4 times. And if you simplify all these down together, that's going to give you the number 16. Then going down to 2 to the 3rd is still the same thing, 2 times itself 3 times, which is 8. 2 squared is 2 times 2, which is 4. And 2 to the 1th power is just 2, which of course is equal to 2. So if you notice a pattern between all of these numbers that are decreasing, to go from 16 to 8 is dividing by 2. You divide by 2, that number comes from this base right here. Then going from 8 to 4, it's divided by 2 again. Same thing. The base is the same thing as the number that you're dividing by. Then dividing by 2 again. So that's how you are decreasing in a number as your exponents decrease. Now, of course, if you were going backwards and increasing up, to go from 2 to 4 is times 2. To go from 4 to 8 is times 2. And 8 to 16 is times 2. Now, if you're not sure what a zero exponent or a negative exponent is, you can continue this pattern all the way down by dividing by 2 or going up to multiply by 2. So if we take this 2, divide it by 2, that is going to give us 1. Now this brings me up to the first point, that for every non-zero a, any number raised to the 0 power is always going to be 1. Now whether it's 100 or negative 2, that number raised with an exponent of 0 is going to equal 1. If you keep continuing the pattern, 1 divided by 2 is going to be the fraction 1/2. Continuing the pattern again, dividing it by 2, 1/2 divided by 2 gives me 1/4. And that again brings me to the last point, that for every non-zero a to the negative nth power is the same thing as 1 over a to the nth, or flipping that number down to the bottom of the denominator like we do here. 2 raised to the negative 2 power is the same thing as 1 over 2 squared. You flip that number down to the bottom and your exponent now becomes a positive. 2 squared of course becomes 4, and that's where we get this 1/4. So for every zero exponent, you're always going to get the number 1, and for every negative exponent, you take that term and its exponent, move it down into the denominator, and change the sign of the exponent to become positive. Now we're going to be doing some examples in class that deal with some expressions. So dealing with maybe a term that has a squared times b to the negative 3, and simplifying that so that we don't have negative exponents. But we'll go through some of those, perfecting the numbers first before we get into the expressions. And that's it. Thank you.